Motivation.
That's what they got.
That's what quiets everybody down. Call to order the Board of Education meeting for Road Community College for Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. We do have a quorum. Are there any awards or recognitions this month? I forgot to ask you that earlier. Sorry.
We do have an award, or I'll say a recognition, and I am teeing it up. Can I get our very own Jamie Harrington? So one of the things that we do is we work really hard and talk a lot about professional development and efforts around professional development and why it's important. And Jamie has been on our regional Coupa HR, which you saw a little reference to earlier, College and University Professional Association for HR. She's been on the regional board for a while, but she just got elected to the national board, and so she has been a longtime contributor to them, and so I want to recognize her for being elected to the national board.
Surprise.
No speech?
Happy to take questions.
Guess we're in law school.
Rochelle, did we have any public comments?
No public comment.
All right, we will move forward to our college reports. We have Micah on. It's nice to see him in person at the awards ceremony instead of on the screen. All right, Micah, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us tonight to give your report.
Of course. All right, let's start with what we did. I'm sorry, I'm struggling to speak. I apologize. We had the interclub council meetings on week 6. Overall, pretty good representation from all the clubs. And we introduced them to the new RCC website so they can use that website to connect students to their club next year or when it launches. Then we had the voter registration event, which was put on by DEI but funded by ASG. The event had resources dedicating to helping students register to vote. We also showed the musical Hamilton in the background as a little kind of theme. And students found that fun and fitting for the event. Then we had Pizza with the President, which was at RVC and RWC. And we had various club presidents host as well, along with Dr. Weber and myself. And then we had the May the 4th Be With You event, which we put on in honor of course, Star Wars Day. We put on a virtual cosplay contest on the Rogue app wall. We also did an event where we gave Star Wars theme swag and theme cupcakes and drinks, and it was very popular, and students found it very fun and lighthearted. And I did forget to put something in the report that I will mention now, but we did have the student parent movie night, which I'm sorry, which we basically rented out theaters in Jackson County and Josephine County, and had tickets available for students to attend, and that was Saturday. Thank you.
Any questions for Micah from the board? All right, thank you, Micah, very much for your report. All right, how about any from our faculty association? No. Faculty Senate? No. Classified Association? No. It's getting faster and faster. All right, we will move on to our board reports, and we will start with our executive committee. It's going to be Gary.
Yes. After nearly a year of not participating, but these are my next 2 months. So we did pretty much plan the agenda for this evening's meeting. And in looking at where we might plug in a possible action item that it looks like we're going to remove from the agenda, we discovered that really action can take place at any time on the agenda, but we have this sort of unique section 8, which is where the action occurs. So we sort of table that for another discussion at another time. And it looks like we may not need the addition of K. So no, that's what we talked about.
Board Outreach Committee, Pat or Indra or Jonathan, who's the, oh, I see Pat unmuted.
I am muted because we had some action this last month. And I want to say that Randy did an excellent job speaking to our Rotary Club. And we had Cass there well. He did a good job, presented well for the college. And we urge people that if they save money with their child going to RCC, they should be willing to invest, at least donate into the foundation. So I was trying to pull both plugs in that one. So I'm hoping, I don't know if it worked, but we tried.
Indra, was there anything you wanted to add? I see that you're unmuted.
Yes, I did unmute. So I put out some pictures on social media to probably 7 or 8 different pages of our groundbreaking of the transportation technology at the Redwood campus. And we got, I'd say, over 100 likes and loves to that. A huge response, and some people reaching out and asking questions about it, but a lot of response from the Cave Junction area in Josephine County. And just, I really feel energy with what we're doing in Josephine County as far as RCC and adding the these programs for students. People really see the value of it and are excited about it.
Anything you needed to add? No, okay. OCCA OSBA liaison.
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on. Last Friday was the board meeting. The Thursday was the President's Council, and Friday was a board meeting. But before I start on that, every board member should have actually received their survey questions from OCCA. If you haven't got it, please tell me, and I'll make sure you get it. So remember, there's an effort to get 80% participation on this. And I'm kind of really keeping hurt on this. So right now, our brethren at SWAC is leading the crowd with 5 responses already. Lane Community College has 3. And I hate to say it, there's only 1 so far from Rogue, and that's me. So I will come to your place of work and tell dad jokes unless you please help me on this. So please help. The survey only takes about 5 minutes. It'll give the OCCA a lot of tools for what we can actually help, what we need to learn as board members. So that's that. Board meeting. Well, before the board meeting, there was a legislative meeting, and a lot was discussed about the Oregon Promise. I'm sure Randy would like to talk about that more during his time, so I won't take up any of that. But in the board meeting, a couple of things that transpired that we went over the budget for OCCA for next year. There is a 3% dues increase, so that is going to be handed down to us. We need to deal with, and plus the election of officers and Amit for next year. So I get to help out on all this stuff, and I didn't know this, but I get to sit in on the President's Council meeting, so I get to know what Randy actually thinks about all of us later, which might be a little fun. So that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
And
Go ahead.
a question for
For Pat, go.
So, and Pat, in the OCCA report, there is a section where it talks about the community college funding request process.
Yes.
And how a report will be generated late this summer.
Yes.
And describes the kind of challenges that will be included in the report. Is that
Yep.
something that both you and Randy will have a copy of that could be passed on to the board?
Oh, yes. And I need to share this with you because I think there's been a change this year, and it's not just semantics, but it kind of is. In previous years, we've always gone in there with what they call CCSL, current service, CSSL, I can never remember the adjectives, but current service level. What we need for funding for the current service level. And it's never really the current service level. It's some past service level, and we express it the current stuff. We've changed the definition. We're not calling it, we cannot, with the amount of money we're asking for, and it's, $807 million, we cannot maintain on that by itself. We have to reach into, most colleges like us are going to reserves this year. It's not a sustainable way to do business, but it's what we got this year. You will get a report from OCCA about what we're asking for, but it probably is imprudent at this point in time until we find out what the state economist has for a revenue forecast. And we get the first revenue forecast later on this month, and there'll be one that comes later on the year and one after the first year prior to the legislative session. So there's a lot of moving parts. It's a big discussion, but part of it is if we really wanted a current service level funding, what we would be asking for is over 25% more than what we got last year, which isn't happening. So it's a little sobering, Gary. I don't mind telling you, but I understand why it's like that.
It may help explain why we're 46th in the nation in post-secondary funding. So the fact of the matter is that maybe the state has to appropriate more dollars for both community and for your colleges.
I understand, but you have to understand that those people that have the big chairs also have a lot of other competing interests looking for those dollars. And I'm not arguing whether it should be more. It should be more. I'm with you on that. Just that reality is going to be tough, I think, the next several years for a lot of different reasons. So frugality is the word of the day at this point. And we will have further discussions on this. And Gary, I would be glad to have you help me advocate for more money at the state legislature.
Consider it done.
You got it. I appreciate that, Gary. That means a lot. That's one of the things that board members should be doing is advocating and talking to their elected representatives, how important we are to the community. So thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Pat. Any extra from you? No. Okay. Foundation Board Liaison, Maria or Pat?
I'll let Maria do that.
There was a meeting and I attended, and it was a great meeting, and I'll let Cass give you all of the details. Squarely in feasibility study country, so I'll let her share more with the group.
Sounds good. We look forward to that. All right, college updates. Dr. Weber, you are first.
Awesome, thank you. And you're gonna see some thematic overlap between Pat's report and mine. I think things I'm gonna highlight, a lot of it will come from the conversations we had at President's Council in Columbia Gorge last month. So as Pat referenced, he is serving as OCCA president next year, which I thought was a good thing because it prevented me from having to be on exec committee as my term as serving as the chair is coming up. But now that I realize he might be coming to OPC, I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe it's a good trade-off. No, so that we do appreciate from OCCA standpoint, Pat's willingness to lead. And he referenced a little bit, and I want to give you guys some specific context here, because there's been a couple conversations around it. The parameters we were given to identify from HEC and the governor's office to identify CSL, we as a community college 17 said that we think that it could and should be a 7.24% increase, which would be $908 million. And then at its most recent board meeting, HEC said $933 million. And rare has it been that Heck has given a higher number than the colleges. So people are like, why might that be? And it's one thing, and it's just the way in which PERS liability is calculated. So it's not like, oh, they just generally need more money. So I think that question's going to be called. The state budget office tends to be the most accurate predictor based on the information they have. So we're kind of waiting to see what they come out with to determine, does our number kind of hold? Because we anticipate if that's the case, Heck will come back to our number. If Heck's number seems to be more in line with what the state says, then absolutely we want to bump up what we're saying as a request number. So you might see some materials that say, why is OCCA asking for less than what Heck is? And just for your understanding, the sole thing is PERS liability calculation. And we know when and how we're going to address that. And it's all going to come from when more data comes from the state office. But I think that that's beneficial for you to know. On a piece of good news from the meeting, one of the things that occurred was, and Lisa's going to give some specific detail on this project as part of her monthly report here in a couple minutes. We had to submit, we chose to submit our next capital project to the state for the capital bond sales that require the match. That's part of what's transportation technology now. The deadline for it was April 6th. We submitted it. The process that it goes through is essentially, it is, and the colleges have been using this for years. There's those who didn't submit serve as a committee to rank the projects for the colleges. So that way we can give the state, here are in ranking order. And in past bienniums, the state has said, well, we'll sell this much in bonds. We'll sell this much in bonds. And so that may include the whole list. That might be at a cutoff point, which then often gets lobbied for by the affected institutions. But from there, then it goes to Heck for a blessing. Heck typically blesses the report. That is the rankings that the college put together, and then ultimately goes through the session for approval. So there's a couple of hoops. But the reason I bring this up is because the rankings are done, and there were 8 schools that submitted, and RCC was ranked at the top. So what that means is, assuming that there's going to be an appetite by the state to sell the bonds to help with capital projects for us, and that there's not any interest in changing the rankings, there hasn't been in the past, we should anticipate that we would have our match money from the state or support from the state as early as spring 09, which would mean we need to give thought and consideration to what is our match money strategy. So we'll bring that conversation to you in the coming months around, if this is the way we're looking at going, how do we best prepare for that as an institution? Another topic that we talked about is, and Ben Cannon and a couple of members from his team came and discussed with us, is the workaround transfer. And I'll say it as candidly, appropriate as I can. There's a lot of room for improvement with transfer in the state of Oregon. The lack of unified approach, what it does is it leaves students having to navigate their transfer experience if they don't clearly know their program of study, or they don't necessarily know where their transfer institution is. And sometimes they wait until the last minute, who's going to give them better scholarships than that. And if the curricular expectations at the freshman, sophomore level are substantially different at institution A versus institution B, they can lose momentum. I will just say that this has been a higher priority in a lot of other states that have made a lot better momentum than Oregon has. The colleges are fully invested in it. There are reasons why it's not a priority for the universities, but we have asked Heck to make it a priority. I mean, literally, there's legislative action telling us to do it. It's just not been done. So we're scratching our heads like we're violating past legislation by not doing this work. So we got an update on that. I will say we're eager to move the needle on that a bit. Pat referenced, and we talked about it earlier in the budget committee, the Oregon Promise conversation that's occurring with Heck, considering transitioning that money to Oregon Opportunity Fund. For this group, I will share increased Oregon Opportunity grant a biennium ago was a legislative priority for the colleges. And through HEC and what we call OSAC, where the money goes shifts. And so money that is going to community college students would less of it would go to community college students if this money were to shift. But even more importantly, we would lose the focus of a program designed to help students go straight from high school to college. So we'll continue those conversations as we mentioned earlier. And I think the last thing I would give in my report, and I would entertain any questions if there are any, is as we're wrapping up spring term, what that means is we're readying ourselves for commencement and having a lot of recognition ceremonies and celebrating our students and their accomplishments. A number of you have come to or committed to come to a number of those ceremonies, and so we want to thank you for that. They truly do notice when you're there, both students and our employees, and so thank you for taking time from your busy schedules to make that a priority. I know for me personally, it's that direct reminder of why we do the work we do, is to see students reach their educational goals. And with that would conclude my report.
Yes. So on your comment, Randy, about some states are more explicit or rules are more well-defined on the transfer credits from community colleges to four-year schools. And I just did a quick search in Oregon. It says that the governing policies are managed by PEC, and they're not spelled out in the OARs. So would, in your mind, a possible solution to ensuring that students are fairly treated, remove that responsibility from PEC and put it in the responsibility of the OARs to, because then because I would think you've got a law, and then the code folks then write a rule that says, here's how that law gets enacted.
Well, I want to say yes. I think the way they see it is when OARs are created, then it has to be executed. So who's facilitating that execution process? And that's what it's saying HEC is supposed to be doing. And that's where institutions, and we're seeing legislators that call the question and say, why are we not where we said we were going to be? HEC, you're supposed to be doing it. And it's a challenge.
And truly, heck, I mean, a double entendre there.
Yeah.
Heck, you said you'd be doing it, so.
Yeah, and so exactly. And it's the position we're taking is we understand that University A, University B, you like the unique ability to offer the degree of business differently. Like a student, graduating from the University of Oregon business may choose it because its curricular path is different than a university, the Oregon State University. Like that makes sense that they're unique. Oregon prides itself on that uniqueness. That's fine. The position we're taking is in other states where transfer has that value, that the difference happens at the junior and senior level.
Right.
And then at the freshman, sophomore level, where you're native to the institution or whether you're a transfer student, you can enter junior level on time to graduate. And so there's a lot of evidence out there that the freshman sophomore level doesn't need to be so different. So because we talk about, like in HEC's mission statement, about looking at systems that have particularly, addressing systems that have particularly impacted underrepresented students. Well, that's a large part of our population. And when you look at the impact of transfer and changing degrees, it hurts. So that's the position we're taking, is we don't think that you need to say all degrees look alike. We're saying freshman, sophomore experiences can be more universal, so a student doesn't lose momentum toward a degree because they transfer.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Randy? Right, senior leadership team. Who's starting?
Happy to start. I just have a couple things and I wanted to talk about
Maria has her hand up.
Oh, sorry, Maria, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, sorry, I was a little slow. Randy, is there any, has HEC done or has anyone done any studies around how much additional expense students incur because we don't have good articulation in terms of transfers? Do we have a sense
No,
of what
but
that
it
cost
is.
is?
No, but it is absolutely a study that could be done with access to data that has between their data reports, access they get from National Student Clearinghouse. You can look at students by population. You can say who are transfer, who are transferring low income, transfer by program, transfer at institution, and really start to look for some themes. When we talked earlier about disaggregated data, that's where we really, and you can say who is negatively impacted by this. And I think we probably would be sad to learn. I have some strong suspicions just based on my experience and transfer over the years that the unintended consequences are fully in play. And one of the impacts that we see a lot that might be harder to track is a student changing their program. You may have a student who say, I'm going to major in a field that pays, I'm going to major in architecture and it pays pretty well. And they're like, I really have to graduate in 4 years because I can't take out more loans. So they switch from architecture to general studies.
Yep.
And so they graduate on time, but their ability to go get a job they're uniquely qualified for is tremendously diminished. So sometimes it's harder to track that change of major. But what the impact on the student on lifetime earning potential because of that lost momentum is tragic.
Yeah, I would really encourage us to ask those questions because cost of higher ed is on everybody's minds. And just anecdotally, my son was one of those architecture students who started at RCC and end up having to do an additional year at U of O because of poor articulation. So just thought I'd share.
All right, Lisa.
Great. So one of the items within the report is we talk about our micro grant process, and that's an internal grant that we provide employees who are being innovative. The grant's up to $10,000. We had 5 different grants. They are in the report. If you have questions, I'd love to answer those. This is about the 4th year we've done it. And this is the first year we've actually put it in the report for everyone to look at. Thank you, Mike. And so, Roger.
I did have a question on those. I thought those were really interesting, but specifically, there's been so much controversy, conversations out there about AI and higher education. And I see a project teaching with AI and a faculty lab. Could you let us know exactly? I mean, is that essentially working with the faculty to incorporate AI in their teaching techniques, or how is that working?
Yes, it's that, as well as working with students so that they know how to use AI, how they might be able to use it in their work for the course, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, learning some of the ethics behind it, and also AI as a learning outcome. So are we preparing students when they leave here so that they know how to use AI to be relevant in the workforce? So it's a whole number of things.
It sounds like a big project.
It is.
What's the timeline for that? I mean, is this something that you expect to get done in a academic year, or is it gonna?
I'm not certain that there is a end date for something like that. It's something that's an ongoing revision of curriculum.
It's certainly key to have the students aware of that and the teaching coordinating, because there's just so many different ways you can do that. Some are, positive and some are terribly negative.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I'm just curious.
Well, to that point, the innovation grants are something that we become really proud of, like letting people see, well, what is the college's values and how grassroots can you request support to tackle that? And we discussed we put in as a placeholder $100,000 a year for innovation grants the last several years. We discussed cutting it to 50,000 next year, and what we decided was we're probably going to limit that to 50,000 next year, but we use the other 50 for AI integration support, knowing that it's, to Dave's point, it's not going away. We want to make sure that we're providing resources so our faculty and staff can use it and be successful in their role.
Yeah, and they kick things off something new, right? When they're successful, it gets incorporated, and when not, no harm, no foul, they try it again. So it is very innovative process. So
You answered my question because I was going to ask, how long have we been doing this?
it's been 4 years. And so, yeah, it's been a great opportunity for everyone. So I wanted to move on and just talk a little bit about the Peck State capital request that we put in, that Workforce in Line, very proud of that, that we were able to get there. And so we submitted it last month. The board gave us a letter of support, so thank you very much. And it really focuses on modernizing and then utilizing the space here in better ways here on the Table Rock campus. And so I don't think that we have actually gone into what some of that looks like. And again, conceptual, as we are moving into a college master plan, that will help us bring it more into line. So when we talk about the amount of capacity at this campus, 90 courses sections here are at 95% capacity. 72% of those courses are in the healthcare, manufacturing, and trades areas. And so when you're at that 95% capacity, essentially it's full. It's full. You need more room. When we talk about an inclusive or a campus where you can start and finish at a campus, we're missing science labs here for our healthcare programs. And so that is one of the items that we put into the plan, is bringing 2 to 3 science labs to this campus. With our with this building, the blue room, sometimes known as the green room, is we're not utilizing it except for storage. It can be 2 different stories. And so looking at how we utilize that. We also don't have a front door to this campus that is widely recognized. We've done some remodeling over here to have a Rogue Central where people can feel welcome and come in. We're still working on the front door, but having a larger front door without adding square feet. We also have the diesel program, which was originally, when we talked about doing transportation, we were going to do it within this building. We're no longer doing that. So there's actually more room in this building that we can imagine how we're doing things. So really utilizing the space in this particular building, reimagining and reorganizing so things are grouped where they need to be. With the high tech center, our B building, there is not a way to expand that building. There's no room on the property, really. There's just no room. However, that program has outgrown their space. So considering where we move them so that they can continue to grow. One of the ideas we're looking at is D building, Dan Foss. Can they move over there? That is a slightly bigger building. Would that be large enough? Are there other programs such as apprenticeship? Could that go to B? Where could those go? So again, reorganizing and making sure that we're taking care of all of our programs so that there is room to grow. I think we outgrew the B building within a year or 2 of completing it. They actually have storage units now, right? Where they have to move equipment in and out. So really making sure that they have the space. Just looking through. One of the other items that we were talking about is Rogue has 3 different server rooms for our IT. We really just need 1. So consolidating our IT facilities here. So if 1 main server room, we would have switch rooms. So all the other campuses would work. But also this would be our campus where we would bring more of those innovative technologies that rely on IT, VR lab or different. One of those, right? Where we'd have the staff, we'd have the facilities to do that. So again, reorganizing what's happening at this campus. Do you have questions? Is there anything you think I forgot, Randy?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Roger.
Okay. Am I envisioning, I mean, that sounds like certainly a worthwhile project, but it also sounds like there are a lot of dollars involved. Would that be a utilization, assuming that the state decides to sell some bonds and we have another, you know, good capital that we have to match? Would it be used for programs like that? Or are you planning on using the few dollars that can leak out with what we've got now?
So, everything she just described was pretty much encompassed in that capital. And so that's to say, this is the project that 12 million
Oh,
would go
okay.
forward. So it was a 24 plus, and what did we give them was the number that we landed? It was pretty, just north of 24 million.
It's 24.5.
There's no penalty for exceeding it. It's just in order to get the full 12 from them, we need to spend our match. Knowing that we've got our campus plan efforts underway, we see being able to mature that and make sure we get these right. But we wanted to get the placeholder request in there, which we got. We're confident that all of these things will still be important and surface through the planning process. How they ultimately land might look a little bit different. So our application was written with a lot of latitude, where we didn't say we're going to commit 8,600 square feet to this, 1,300 to that. We were very intentional about allowing the planning process we're going through to influence the ultimate project. But you're 100% right. That's the $24+ million project.
Okay, and that's incorporate both counties, I assume, because.
Well, that project is
Just
a single
for this.
project. So the facilities master plan incorporates both counties. That's right. So the facility, anytime you do a master plan, right, it'll have phases.
Sure,
And
yeah.
so the first phase will include this project because of the seed, and it may include something for Riverside and or Red. We'll kind of wait and see where appetite, what those strategy is, and how we want to fund it. But we are pretty much committing ourselves to saying this is in phase one. And then as we go through the planning process, we'll determine does anything else fit into phase one.
I just need to understand exactly what you just said. So let's assume that the 24 million shows up. It's not, I think what I heard, it's not necessarily restricted to Jackson County Table Rock campus. It could be used in either campus. Is
The
that
24 million would need to be for here.
okay?
What we told the state is we have a standalone project for Table Rock
Okay,
campus
got it.
that will meet or exceed $24 million. So we need all of your
I
12.
just needed to understand
Yeah.
that. We've obviously been through that in past years.
Yeah, but what we might say is we're gonna go for capital campaign or bond levy to do $36 million worth of work. Which includes that 24 plus 12 million somewhere, somehow else. But we are committing ourselves to saying $24 million worth of work will go toward the project as described by Lisa.
Thank you.
So Gary next and then
Right,
Andrew.
that was my, Randy answered my
Okay.
question, Roger. That was my original question, but that's the beauty of multi-year planning. So that's the beauty of that, because now we're years ahead of where we might then go to the voters. So we've got a plan in place now.
All right, Indra, see your hand up?
Yes, the buildings that are overcrowded or not large enough now, is that because we just didn't anticipate the enrollment in these programs, or we just had them where we could put them and that's all there was available?
So the decisions on those, I will defer to people who would have been around when we made those facilities decisions, but I'll give you some context. It might be a hybrid of both. And for example, welding, back when that decision was made, we were enrolling about 55 welding students a term between the two campuses. We have terms where we enroll over 130 now. I don't think that there was any anticipation that it would grow at that rate. Sometimes the machines you use in machining, you don't know what future machines are going to look like, and you stick something in there like that thing's a space hog, but it's really important. So what I don't know is, did we know day one we were going to outgrow it, but we were limited to that facility, that EDA limitation? I see Greg and Lisa both nodding.
So yes, and so remember when we were putting that building together, we were declining in enrollment. So again, getting back to pre-pandemic, and at that time we were still declining. is one. Again, two, different types of equipment and expanding the programs and bringing in other things. The building itself is part of the issue. That was the location where they wanted to put it, and we did have an EDA grant. We already had an EDA grant on this property. So to get that funding, it couldn't have been on this particular part. So there's lots of things that go into that, lots of planning. It was the best decision at the time for what we knew and the funding that we had.
And I appreciate the question because it sets us up really well for the conversation we want to have at the board next month around transportation and some thoughts we have around how quickly we might outgrow that project with the base project. And so that's a teaser to a conversation and a consideration maybe for next month that we're not prepared for this month.
I also remember that building, we didn't build from scratch. That was an existing building. There was a company in there at one point.
There was, we ripped it down to, I think, 2 or 3 walls.
Okay.
And then
I knew we started with something.
We did start with something. So it was a remodel. I'm looking at Greg, wasn't it 2 walls, 3 walls?
No, we renovated the existing box, but we added on to it.
Yeah. And so.
But we made it as big as we could, given the constraints that we had. That's the point.
Correct. And there, I mean, you can't, you can't go east at all. We're on the property.
You could, but
You can't.
be building on somebody else's property.
So.
And they might frown upon that? Is that what you're saying?
And also, you know, when we are looking at D building, we didn't even own that property, and we didn't even know it would have been an option. So yeah, I think it was the best decision at the time with what we knew and where we think we could have gone. That's all I have. That's it for me.
Any other questions for Lisa? All right.
I wanted to highlight that we held our spring in service recently, May 8th, feels like a lifetime ago. It was a short time ago. And it was a wonderful day. I do believe, but I need to be fact checked. When Kara returns, I do believe we had record attendance of employees. So rooms were filled. Lunch was eaten. We had great speakers and a number of educational tracks. So many internal folks provided their expertise in their sessions, but we also had external speakers. I think we had 4 or 5, which is the highest number that we've had so far. And I look forward to getting more information from the feedback surveys and bringing that next month. But it was a really great day of learning and connection and recognition. We had our awards during that time, and then also really appreciate Randy's all college address, which provided really important updates and transparency around some of the things we've talked about here in terms of fiscal realities, but also where we are and where we're headed. And I know he's really appreciate that. So it was overall a great day. Similarly, I wanted to provide an update regarding the student experience survey, but you got to hear a lot about that with our fabulous Lucia and her update during the work session. I just wanted to add my many thanks to her and all of the folks who were involved in the great success of that particular survey administration. We are moving ever so swiftly towards the launch of our brand new website. So wanted to also provide an update that we are on track for the July 1 launch. That is taking a great deal of time and painstaking effort on the part of both our marketing and communications team members and then other members of the campus community who are contributing the content and all the work of our partners, Madison Avenue Collective, who you've heard from in previous sessions. So that is very exciting, represents a lot of work, and we're really excited to unveil the new front door when it is time. You may have heard during the work session introductions that our Director of Marketing and Communications, PIO Kelly, described herself as the outgoing Director of Marketing and Communications. So actually, We have just a few short days left with Kelly. Her last day is on Friday, the 22nd. So I did want to express appreciation for all of Kelly's work over the last several years and wish her well on her next adventure. I can't see you, but I know you're back there. So thank you. That position will also be posted soon. So that's something that will be out and available. Looking at you, Maria, if you know anyone, we're really excited to support Kelly in her new adventure and also have a great next Director of Marketing Communications PIO. It's a really important role. And then finally, both Randy and I provided a brief update on the LFO visit last month, and I just wanted to make you aware, if you hadn't heard, that we received word from OCCA that they needed to move the Southern Oregon visits from May to September or October. So that is still intended to happen. I worked with Rochelle and provided some possible dates based on calendars, and either Randy or myself will keep you posted when we hear back from them on scheduling.
Questions for Jamie? Right, Dave, you are up.
Hey, well, on April 30th, we had the third and final Donuts with Dave. And it went really well. Had a lot of students come by and chat with me. It was great. The donuts were gone in like an hour and 15 minutes. So that was a new record. You know, and this was the third time that I did not have a donut. So good. Last week at the Chief Academic Officer meeting, we were represented by Juliet Long and Jesse Longhurst from SOU as one of the model partnerships across the state with our Bachelors of Applied Science and Education collaborations. So that was really great to hear. Let's see, I wanted to also let you know that on the 4th, I think, of May, the foundation, and you might hear from Cass, but the foundation and Dean Rusty Reese led a tour with All Care, the CEO there, and some others. Are you going to talk about that?
You go for it, Dave.
Okay. Of our Health Professions Center, and that was a great event, and it was really good to see all of those folks from All Care here with probably about 20 people. It's great. I'll get with you next time, Cass. Our transportation.
Go for it, Dave.
Tech groundbreaking was on May 5th and 7th, and we had a number of folks out here at both campuses, Redwood and TRC. That was fantastic. We do have some things coming up for Workforce Pell. The final rules from the Department of Ed came out today. They were published, so we have to get into that. We are partnering with Mount Hood Community College on, as well as a number of other colleges in Oregon. I think about 16 of them together on a Strengthening Community Colleges grant related to Workforce Pell and implementation. We have a webinar coming up on the 28th, led by OCCA, and a learning lab in Salem on June 23rd, also led by OCCA. So a lot of work's going to be focused on getting Workforce Pell and the finalized rules implemented at the colleges so that we can move forward. It will take a year before anything moves forward, John. So, and then at the state level, our Transfer General Education Faculty Subcommittee, we have our own Erica Geeson, who will be represented on that Gen Ed subcommittee, as well as Dean Navarro Chandler, who will be on the OAR Audit Subcommittee. And they're going to be making recommendations to the Transfer Council on updated transfer general education framework that would replace the core transfer maps moving forward, which is roughly 30 to 36 credits of general education. And then on June 3rd at 3 p.m., the Student Learning and Success Division is providing a year in review webinar. So for an hour, welcome to attend.
Questions? Alright. Oh, you're next.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Always making fun. I know in the last few meetings, we had talked about the possibility of having the economic impact study up and running. It is done. It is published on our website. So if you go, you'll see the new one. Other colleges have had it completed too. They haven't put that on yet. Everybody has a different process, but it has been completed by Lightcast, which is our vendor. So I want to take a few minutes to talk to you about it. I know there's a lot of interest in it from the community. I know that we want to share it with the community as we send out the community report. This is kind of what it looked like. We use fiscal 24 data, enrollment, financial, human resources, compliance, and so on. Lightcast is a pretty prescriptive organization. They tell us exactly the kind of things they need. There's not a whole lot of flexibility there, which gives them the option and the opportunity to run their logarithms and get the output. As you can see, that data came from multiple sources all across. For a few weeks, people were dreading emails from us. I need this, I need this. The institutional research team conducted multiple rounds of validation because once we send things to Lightcast economists, they ask us things. Well, is this right? This doesn't comport with this other part, or this is way out of whack from 10 years. So that is a very iterative process back and forth, which is why you see that it started in November, and by the time it was finally published, it was just last month. So it does take quite a bit of effort to get it done. OCCA does have the state one. I did speak to their staff. It'll take, they're getting ready to publish it, so you can go ahead and compare it with the state itself and the other institutions. I wish they would hurry up because then we can show kind of what we are doing, but they'll take their time. So that being said, this is what it looks like, this institution looks like as part of the Valley's economy. 325.6 million in total economic output. And that's about 2% of the gross regional product. And for comparison, if these two counties were the United States, we would be Walmart. It's a pretty big chunk of the economy. More than 4,000 jobs, which are directly supported or indirectly, including employees here, those other employees elsewhere who are spending support. Essentially, 1 out of every 42 full-time employees in these two counties have their jobs because of our act. So that's just a snapshot of what we are as part of the regional economy. And this is what that 325 comes up from. Direct alumni impact, those who have been through our institution. The institution spends itself, student spending, construction spending, all that adds up to that 326. That's another way of looking at it is that's really 1/3 of $1 billion. When we look at it, just to get the bad stuff out, so to speak. When we look at it just dollar for dollar for the year, what it looks like is, tax is about 40.2 million in taxes coming in. And the direct spending of the institution in the Valley is about 41. So it is almost a dollar for dollar. Somebody looking at it initially on a present value basis, put in $1, get out $1. What's happening here? And that question sometimes comes up for economic impact studies, so I wanted to get it out of the way. But that's a pretty misleading and narrow way of looking at it, really. Because when you expand the lens, this is what it looks like. For students, for every dollar they're spending, they're getting more than 5 back. Midpoint earnings, $3,000 more for certificate holders. Almost 8,000 for those who get an associate degree. Actually, it's 7,800, and I know that's something you'll remember because that's the address of this building. And look at the return versus Wall Street. Almost double. I know of no savings account which does that. Another way of looking at it is from the social aspect. There, the cumulative benefits are even greater. $6 for each going in, and that adds up from these things: income, business income, personal income, activities which generate other income in the valley, and social savings, which, you know, it is healthcare, less corrections time, less income assistance needed, less unemployment costs needed. Yes, it is not an exact science or an exact art. And there are some critics of it. But the theory behind this is pretty solid. The Minzer equation and the social accounting matrix, which are pretty solidly based on economic principles. A lot of agencies use it. So does Lightcast, though their actual proprietary algorithm are proprietary. Someday they promised me when I retire, they may give it to me, but not yet. So as you can see, you know, from a social perspective, overall, it's 600% return, so to speak. Further observations, and I'll show you the actual numbers in just a little bit. What this is telling us is we have remained stable as an economic engine. What we measured 3 years ago is pretty similar. We are not going back. In fact, we have done a little better. From my perspective, the methodology Lightcast uses kind of underestimates our impact a little. And I say that for a couple of reasons. One of them is that it is overall a proprietary methodology. There are some things, for example, your non-credit enrollments, they discount a little bit. Also, when they're looking at enrollment itself or credit enrollment, they want us to capture it on day 21 of each term. A lot of our enrollment comes in after that. So their model being such, it's not being captured. All that is to say, this is a very conservative study. Chances are, if we were to do it slightly differently, we'll probably be doing it better. But at the end of the day, we still remain maybe a vehicle of education, but also economic opportunity year by year. This is a comparison from last year. I know all of you looked at the previous study, which covered fiscal 22. As you look at this, what you see is in almost every one of those impact areas, we did better from the previous study. One place where it seems you may not have is also the year which was a failing year for those CARES and HERF funds, which were still impacting some of the student ROI, I would say somewhat artificially. Upwards. That also brings up something else, that this also gives us a look at how if we have flexibility with operational funds, our ROI goes up for students. So as you consider other things going forward during the year and next year, that's something to keep in mind. So looking ahead, as we mentioned, this study, in another way of looking at it, is it really underscores the two sides of our mission. Exemplary educational opportunities for student success and economic development. We continue to be the bridge between learning and earning, between passion and prosperity. And as you and I and all of us have talked about the last few times, that as we move into the next strategic plan, we intend to make that bridge stronger, more resilient, and certainly more responsive with your help. It is at the end of the day, and you'll see that full 38-page study, feel free to read it on our website. What you will see is it gives a good impression of us as an economic engine of opportunity in this community. With that being said, this time I'll take hard and easy questions both.
Does the prescriptive nature of what
Lightcast, yeah.
Lightcast, sorry, help to compare more apples to apples than, apples to palm trees across institutions?
It does, because they have a very prescriptive model. Here's the input, here's the output, very little opportunity for flexibility. I wouldn't say no opportunity, but very little. it does when, look at Mount Toad and look at us. It is as apples to apple as you can get with some Silicon and Swiss.
At least it's in the fruit family.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many other higher education institutions in Oregon use this? Most?
All the community colleges do,
Community
and I know at least 2 of the universities do as well.
So we funded this study out of our strategic funds at the state level. So all 17 colleges got their independent report. One thing we've done with a little more intentionality this time around is to make sure that we got a comprehensive state report too, because we recognize in our regions, this is very relevant. And in the halls of Salem, sometimes we need to talk from the state and not one of the 17 districts. So we've got something for both audiences.
It's a super interesting read.
As some of you pointed out that, I know when you started out with this, we all wondered, well, are people going to really pay attention? But really, as some of you have told me, and that a lot of people really look at it, oh, dollars and cents. It suddenly becomes real for them. And this is a good way.
Questions? All right, Cass, you are up.
Okay, some highlights from the foundation. We are in the middle of our feasibility study interviews, and our campaign consultant, Casey Woodard, has conducted 11 interviews. And we have 16 interviews scheduled. So 4 more interviews to be scheduled, and we'll have our 30. And then we'll have an update meeting with Casey on June 5th. So all will be revealed then. We've also established 2 $10,000 scholarships this month, one for nursing and one for CTE students. And then Haley, our development director, knocking it out of the park, helped arrange and herd cats with All Care. And Randy, Rusty, Dave, and Laura Meyer did a wonderful job of presenting to All Care, who were our top donators for the Allied Health building. So they went along in another meeting. We're talking to Asante and said, you should be doing a tour. And we know that when we're providing these tours, oftentimes folks come out just so impressed, and many of them do become donors and supporters of our programs. Along those lines, Roger Stokes arranged a tour with Medford Rotary, and that group loved the tour. And also Medford Rotary and Roger are major scholarship supporters of the college. And so just putting that out there to you all, any of your affiliated groups, if you'd like us to arrange a tour, or you can think of anybody, please send them our way. That is a wonderful way to share the work at the college. Once transportation's up and running, we'll start touring that as well, and cultivating those relationships. Currently, the value of our endowed funds is at $22.5 million, and that's after we just withdrew $1.5 million for invoices to the college in support of the college and scholarships. And our revenue from July 1st to date from our endowments and scholarships and unrestricted donations is at $2.2 million. And then just to add on to the AI that I just added on, I learned from Richard that if we have our private ChatGPT account, that when we're searching through the foundation and teaching our bot, we're protecting our donor information, and that information doesn't go out into the world. And I didn't know that. And so that's something that we're working on at the foundation, and it's really helping us to increase our capacity with a limited number of staff. That's it.
But I was able to attend the Redwood transportation wedding, and so just that was impressive. The team that put those together, I heard the Table Rock one was just as impressive. But I just appreciate the effort put into reaching out to the community for some of those potentials.
Well, we can't take any credit for that, Jamie and
Team
Bell and everybody. But I do want to say, when Brandy probably has some things to say too, it was wonderful to see the support of everybody in this room, including yourselves. So
it was really fun. All right, any questions for Cass? I was really liking it when I was driving in and I saw them moving the dirt and doing it. Great.
Yeah, there's real progress out on campus right now. And thank you, Cass, for that, teeing that up. I do want to extend a special thanks to Rochelle and Jamie. They did a great job putting those together. That was a great week, like, because we had the all care, we had transportation. It was a great week to show the wonderful things going on at our college.
I'd also like to thank Cass for that tour that you gave us. There were a lot of great comments that come out of that, and you never know where it's gonna go. So appreciate it.
All right, we are going to be moving on to the board action and information items. And before we start that, we are going to be striking K, 8K from the agenda. There will not be taken on that this month. We will eventually have that back next month. Is that correct?
That is the goal,
That's
the
the goal.
plan.
Okay, so we are starting with just information, our monthly financial data report. Anyone have any questions? Looking at you, because it's usually you.
No, I'm good.
Making sure there's wait time.
Yeah, I am a little slow, so thank you for that.
Slow, we call that processing time. It's just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I see Rochelle put in our 26-27 meeting dates, part of the packet, so get those on your calendars. Anybody see any glaring issues with any of those dates? Okay. Our first readings of board policy 3310, records retention and destruction. I'll come back next month for a second and final reading. And our first reading of board policy 3810, claims against Rogue Community College. Lots of changes in that one, just, changing it to RCC.
Yeah, just to point out, it looks like it's supposed to be replaced with RCC and Rogue is supposed to be stricken.
That's what that was the only question I was gonna send to Rochelle later, is that the rest of that red line needed to come out.
Yep.
If we're gonna change it to RCC, we would red line out the rest of community college stuff.
You are really fast for me.
Yes.
I was using my processing
You're
time.
processing time.
And I may ask the board to look at the potential of having our September meeting on the 14th instead of 15th. Our League for Innovation board meeting will be later that week, and it would probably necessitate me traveling on Tuesday, the 15th. If we could pull that off.
So on a Monday instead of a Tuesday?
Yeah, just one. I don't want to move it a week because that messes up a lot of our business processes, but the board packet should, we'll still get it to you on Friday. Just you're gone either way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I will be gone I'll be in Italy at that time, so.
Either way,
So
day.
Jonathan, you and I again, Maria, Indra,
Here.
you'll be there?
No, she's not
Maria's
either.
gonna be gone?
Yep, I'll be there.
No,
Indra,
I will be on vacation. Sorry, not sorry.
Four of us.
Both days. So anybody who's available on the 15th
We
or
will-
unavailable on the 15th, the 14th doesn't change your availability.
So
Have to be-
I'm fine with changing that to the 14th, if we get that out on our calendars sooner than later.
I'll change it for
Or change it, I should say, yeah.
Yeah, we just got that notification today, so poor Rochelle didn't really get much of a chance, but update the packet.
We got a lot of lead time, fortunately, on this one. To 8E, our first reading for the recommended removal of board policy 5110. So those will be coming back next month, and we'll move on to our action item, which is revised board policy BP 3540, sexual and other assaults on campus, for our second and final reading. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Gary.
Second.
Thank you, Roger. It's been moved. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand if you're on Zoom, so we can see. Aye. Indra, okay, thank you. Action item G, revised board policy BP 3550, drug-free environment and drug prevention program. This is our second and final reading. I would entertain a motion.
Moved.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Roger. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. We don't need any nays. And item H, the new program for manufacturing engineering technology transfer to Oregon Tech. I would entertain a motion. Indra, do you have your hand up still or you have a question? Are you there?
Just voting early.
Just voting early. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it wasn't letting me put it down. I
Okay.
think
We'll let
we're
you-
good. We're good
Since-
now.
Okay, since we can't see you, we'll let you do just a verbal. That might help it if it's having an issue. So I would entertain a motion for the approval of the new program manufacturing engineering technology transfer to Oregon Tech.
So moved. Oh.
Jonathan got it first. And then Roger, second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
That's everybody. All right, emeritus status. Do we have any presentation with this too, or just an action? We all read the recommendation and the. I would entertain a motion.
I move, do we approve the board action emeritus status for Gary Heigl?
Thank you. And Roger, thank you for seconding. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
That's a unanimous. And then the next item is president's contract.
Move for approval?
Yep, thank you, Gary.
Second.
Second by Jonathan. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Everybody, motion passed. All right, is there any new business that we didn't know before this very moment? Okay, seeing none, old business, Transportation Technology Center project update, Greg.
All right, well, we have my report before you. As you saw, probably driving in today, the construction started on this campus this week, so mobilization, and I gotta say, that's a lot of fence surrounding that property. The estimated delivery of the pre-engineered metal building that was approved as an early work package is scheduled to be here late June, so you can see that progress moving forward. The project is scheduled, the construction start time, the mobilization start for Redwood campus is June 1st. And the estimated delivery for that pre-engineered metal building is sometime in July. If it does arrive early, I just want you all to know that we have an alternate site location that will place the material so that it doesn't affect commencement. If it were to arrive any earlier than that. I think that's all I have for the moment. Do you have any questions?
Any questions on?
No, just a show of, my appreciation for outlining all of the data and plugging in the numbers, and it's really helpful to see that everything is sort of laid out in preparation for getting the building.
Like your color coding, so I can find it quickly about what's changing. All right, how about the comprehensive campus master plan update? Which I think we renamed, right?
Yeah, we're calling it the facilities master plan, and we are interviewing the consultants this week. And then a selection will be made and presented in the following weeks, bringing a contract before you for consideration at the June board meeting. And we also had a kickoff meeting with the steering committee, which is the larger group, yesterday, and just to really just kind of prepare everybody for what to expect and the time commitment involved and what exactly are the steps that we're going through and how that process works, just in preparation, even though we won't have a consultant on board until June. But immediately following the consultant being on board, we'll work on developing a project charter just to keep the groundwork so that we're all on track. And then we'll develop an actual project schedule. Just to kind of reiterate, we're talking about a final delivery to the college in mid-March 2027. That could be earlier. Hopefully it won't be a little bit later, but once we have that consultant on board, we'll negotiate that schedule and make sure that we have everything lined out. This concludes my update.
Questions? We appreciate your update. Our next item of business is our consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as one.
So moved.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Second.
Thank you, Gary. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay. And we are now on to roundtable. Oh, Ria, do you want to go first? Are you still raising your hand?
Don't know what I'm doing. But yes, I will go first.
Okay.
I don't know if I shared with all of you, I'll be on sabbatical, and we'll be taking some time off this summer and in December, but I will work with Rochelle on dates to make sure it's not, too cumbersome on this team. But I'm super excited about that. Super excited about the progress that just getting to see the ROI numbers. That is a dream come true, and super excited to be able to have the data to have that conversation with our community. I think was the missing piece. So super excited. Thanks to all who made that happen.
Anything for you for roundtable?
Oh, there's always something for me. I appreciate you guys tolerating me attending these by Zoom, and my domestic situation here with Sue makes it pretty much necessary for me to do that. But I want to remind everybody that there is an email waiting for you to process because we want to get this stuff done. And I'm going to be starting calling board members at other institutions that I'd like to be able to say, oh yeah, all my guys have already got it done. So starting probably tomorrow, I'm going to start bugging people. So you just get off the bug list and just get it done.
Indra, anything from you?
Nothing like coercion, Pat, but
Correct.
I did. It does work. I'll do it. I just want to say I'm really looking forward to the end of the year graduation ceremonies, and I signed up or committed to go to a number. So the first one next week is the trio graduation, and they're just it is why we do it, and it's so touching, and it's great to see the students and their accomplishments. So I'm just really looking forward to these end of the year ceremonies. Thank you.
Roger.
I'd second that. I'm planning on enjoying several of the pinnings and all good stuff.
Gary.
I would say, as a board member of one, I live in obviously Zone 5 and live in a community where SOU sits, and we are living through very challenging time with the possibility of the elimination of many programs, including the music program. So I communicated my displeasure to the Board of Trustees as an Oregon taxpayer, as a individual board member, and shared that I cannot imagine that within this short time frame that there could possibly be some synergy between RCC and SOU, even in the best of times, and it just seemed so unreasonable to me. In addition, the Ashland School District is looking at closing an elementary school. The Ashland City Hall is condemned. So Representative Marsh has been communicating with her constituents, of which I'm one, the possibility of synergy. The fact that one institution has buildings that may be empty. Another institution needs a building that, because theirs is condemned due to earthquake issues. So what she did communicate, which I thought I would want to share as part of sort of board outreach, I guess, as an N of one, is that often in Salem, when advocating for colleges and universities, it seems that staff, hired staff, OCCA show up and communicate those desires. And so the average taxpayer, if you will, she shared, doesn't. And they would love to hear from the average person who is unhappy about the state of affairs, whether they're students or other staff or just taxpayers. So I am going to make it a personal challenge for myself to organize people who are just average citizens to be able to go to Salem and share the conundrum of the funding crisis that exists. So that's what I wanted to share with all of you.
Jonathan.
Dovetailing a little bit there. I'd like to thank the leadership team as regional higher education is in the news. The difficult position you guys are in and communicating the positive news that's going on at RCC while the story is focused on a different entity. That's tricky. And so it's been a positive message, and thank you for the consistent positive message and navigating as the story is about something else. But we're still doing really good things here. Thank you, Vanessa, for your year. I'm really sad I won't be able to make a motion for at least a year now. I hope your motion game is up to.
I will bring it back.
And Indra, good luck tonight.
Yes.
And that's it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I was gonna add on to what you were saying as I've been reading the articles about the SOU situation, just how supportive RCC is coming across in truthful. I mean, they're telling, you guys are speaking the truth. I was reading your quotes in the paper today, Sunday, whatever day it was, I'm not sure. But it's, you know, we want to help our partners out, but we also have to remember what our mission is and what our values are and what our call is. As a community college, I think it is challenging. So I appreciate your efforts, Gary, too, of really kind of thinking about that in a different way. So that's exciting. And again, the groundbreaking ceremonies it was a great week to wear my RCC gear at my paid job. So I quite enjoyed that. And thank you for, I will be attending virtually in June. So Jonathan will be taking over early. So I appreciate the trust that the board had in me this year to lead us as we were moving along. So thank you for that as well. All right, and with that, we will adjourn at 6:23. Not my
call on time.
Yeah. Should take a little.
I did.